So Supergirl's coming out soon. Are we excited? I'm a solid. Yeah. Anyway, I rewatched Superman recently. Because it was on the mind, and it holds up. It's a good movie. It reminds me a lot of Iron Man, in terms of not just being the beginning of a universe, but being a solid superhero movie in terms of entertainment, and in terms of superhero movies, definitely a step up in terms of like message and staying power. Because that's a real problem with the later MCU, is you just watch it and then it's over and you never think about it again. Superman was solid. The obvious comparisons you could make are to Man of Steel, and yeah, Superman 2025 is better than Man of Steel. Hot take alert. If you want an actual hot take, I will say that comparing the finales head to head is a little embarrassing for Superman, because the whole point of the Man of Steel finale is that the things that happen in superhero movies, Superman killing his enemy and buildings getting leveled, should be taken really seriously and have a lot of gravity and shouldn't be hand waved. And then in the Superman finale, all those things do happen and they are hand waved. Like, don't worry about it. Buildings are falling over like dominoes, but they all got evacuated. It's all good. There's no one in those buildings, even though we only see the interior of 2 buildings in Metropolis, and both of them are occupied. That's just my, miserable griping. But what actual critics have to say is, varied, obviously, but one of the biggest criticisms that came out of the movie are that it's overstuffed. There are too many side characters. Why are there so many people whose names I have to remember? They take away from the core conflict. And I think that's an interesting criticism, but I don't know if it's true. So I want to go through every named character and figure out, are they important to the story, or could they be snipped out? Now, it's important to state here that if I say someone should be cut, like let's take Hawkgirl, for example, I'm going to say that she serves absolutely no purpose in the story. And the solution to that, from a writing standpoint, is not to get rid of Hawkgirl. It's to make Hawkgirl important to the story, So I'm not saying that I hate these characters or that I want them to be gone. I'm just saying, whether or not they are relevant or important to the plot or the story in terms of like theme. I took the cast list in credits order, so that's why they are roughly in order of appearance. And I removed all of the characters that were not named. So Raptor Guard number 4, newscaster number 3, civilian, I'm not counting those, which means there are some that like really shouldn't be here, but whatever. We'll talk about those when we get there. I did make a list of some of the more important ones that I deleted for not having names. We've got the Superman robots that are not 4, because technically they, like Superman robot number 12, that's the character's name as well as the designation. So you could make an argument that that's a name, but I didn't count it. We've got young Jarhanpurian boy, Tech Bro, Yogurt Eater, and Michael Rosenbaum as Raptor Guard number 1. And if you don't know why that's important, Michael Rosenbaum played Lex Luthor in Smallville.
You really don't have to quote The Art of War to me, Dad. I read it cover to cover 3 times before I finished high school. I read it cover to cover 3 times.
I also removed Young Clark because, it's the same character. I mean, they had to put in the credits as a different actor, but, it's not a different character. But who is a different character is Ultraman, who, as far as I saw anyway, isn't in the credits. So I added him in. That got me to this list of characters. There are about 40 of them, and we're going to rank them. So our categories, let's just talk about them when we get there. So let's start with Superman. He's the main character. If he was removed, the movie would fall apart. No, absolutely cannot cut. Gary / Superman robot number 4. Now, you could cut him, but it would be weird. There are multiple scenes where Superman is at the Fortress of Solitude, and he needs someone to talk to. So I actually think I would put him in absolutely cannot cut, because you could cut him, but you'd have to make Superman talk to other of the Superman robots. So the role he has in the story is necessary. Jor-el absolutely cannot cut. Superman's whole arc in this movie is about realizing that his Kryptonian parents aren't so great, but his human parents are what gives him his values, and that he is like, very human in his personality. Also, it is the Kryptonian message being evil is a big part of the conflict of the story. Like, that's why the public turns against Superman. So, extremely necessary. Now, Lara-El, I'm going to put her in probably could cut, which means you could cut them, but there is a purpose that they are serving. It's just not necessary. Now, technically, you could just make the message from Lara, so you could swap Jor-el and Lara, but I think it's more effective to have Jor-el be the one to give the message, because it is a twist on the Superman talking to his dad in the Fortress of Solitude, so it'd be weird if it was Lara. So that's why I put him up there and her down here. However, I'm not saying that you could just snip her out of the story and it wouldn't be different at all, because having two parents that are both this way makes it seem like this is just how Kryptonians are. Not that that's true necessarily, but if it was just Jor-el, it would be easy to say oh, well, Jor-el's just crazy. But the fact that it's Jor-el and Lara shows that damn, people on Krypton really thought like this. Also, giving Lara the lines about impregnating Earth women and having the harem, I think that's more effective coming from a woman. It's more freaky than if it was just Jor-el. Yeah, I mean, definitely it serves a purpose in the story to have her there. Also, the fact that there are two parents is kind of a good contrast to Ma and Pa Kent. It is more effective to be oh, there's my parents and then my other parents, rather than my dad and my parent, So yes, I think she is nice to the story, but she does not really serve a purpose other than Jor-el, except for some minor stuff. Okay, let's talk about the engineer. What does she actually do? I'm just putting her up here to talk about her, not because she does belongs up here. She finds the Fortress of Solitude, but it's Lex Luthor. You could just hand wave that he found it himself, or you could have that same scene, except instead of a superpowered agent, it's just a drone. Then she hacks into the Kryptonian database, and again, it feels like Lex Luthor could take out a computer and plug it into the mainframe and have essentially the same situation. I mean, she fights the Superman robots, but so does Ultraman. It honestly might be better for Ultraman's character as the main villain if it was just him fighting the Superman robots and not a team fighting. Then at the end, she fights Superman, but so does Ultraman. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel obviously, if you cut her from the movie, you would have to rework some of those fight scenes. But it's embarrassing to have a character that could literally just be replaced by a computer for half of the scenes that she's in. Where can I move her? So I'm gonna put her in could probably cut, because you would have to make some minor tweaks. Okay, Ultraman absolutely cannot cut. He is I don't know. No, yeah, absolutely cannot cut. He is the way in which Lex Luthor matches Superman physically. There needs to be fight scenes, and Ultraman is there for that. Plus, it's a big deal at the beginning that Superman lost his first fight, because that is the beginning of him having the worst week of his life, and that doesn't work without Ultraman. So yeah, absolutely cannot cut. Eve. It's either pretty important or absolutely cannot. Oh no, you could cut her out. What would the story look like if you cut Eve out? Eve's purpose is, first off, to show that Lex Luthor is just being a freak when he yells at her. And, for comic relief, like, obviously, in this image. And then there's some stuff with Jimmy, where Lois is mostly figuring out Lex's situation, but she needs a little oomph, so Jimmy comes in clutch and has Eve as a contact. I think that is pretty effective. For this story to work, you need Jimmy or someone from the Daily Planet to have a contact close to Lex, and it doesn't really make sense for it to be one of the scientists. So yeah, I would say Eve is pretty important. But if you, like, really wanted to, like, if the actress, like, quit or something, you could write her out of the story. It would just be weird and less good. Next we have, let me look at my list of these names. Sidney Happerson. So he is one of the lead people, and okay, we have a row of like 8 of these Lex Luthor goons. And to be clear, we do need a good number of them with speaking lines, otherwise it's weird, but you don't need all of them to be named characters. Some of these people are named after comic characters, which is, I think, why they have names instead of Luthor Tech number 3. So, you know what? Maybe I'll add it here. Demote to extra, which just means they do serve a function, but they should not be a named character. Now, Sidney Happerson is not in that group because we need Lex to have some more important characters, and I think Sidney is important. I'm going to do him and Otis at the same time because I don't exactly remember which is which. Maybe I should... You know what? I'm just going to check in my other tab. Give me a second.
I read it cover to...
Oh, that's really fun. He was a professor at a university and tutored a child, Lex Luthor. That, it'd be cool if that was actually in the movie. I'm going to put Otis down here for a minute. Sidney Happerson is the guy who is concerned about Lex, destroying the world. Like he grows more and more concerned, and then he tries to close the rift, and Lex, like, he's like, oh, I'm closing the rift, and Lex is like, no, don't. When Mr. Terrific shows up, he actually offers to help. So I think that is a necessary role. I think it contributes to the idea that Lex, first off, is extremely reckless, and he is going off the deep end toward the end of this movie, endangering everyone unnecessarily because of his petty vendetta, to the point that even the people that work with him are, like, have had enough. I think it's important to have that. It's not necessary, but I like it, and it would be a worse movie without this character. What does he do that's different? I feel like he kind of has the same role, except, less, right? Otis sucks. He doesn't do jack shit. I'm putting him in probably cut and not definitely cut because he has one thing that none of these other fuckers have, which is a name. I mean, actually, a lot of these people are named after comic book characters, but he's named after Lex Luthor's main goon in the original Superman movie, which is so fun. It's like he has, in the original 70s Superman, Lex has the bumbling Otis and the, beautiful Eve Teschmacher as his goons, and there have been Superman adaptations over the years that reinterpret these characters. One of the seasons of Supergirl had Lex as the main villain, and he had Otis as, like, kind of still a dumb goon, but much more dangerous. And Eve was a double agent who had been working with the good guys for years, but was retconned as a plant for Lex the whole time, which is awesome. I like an interpretation of Otis with this more science-y Lex as, his chief science dude. I think it's cool. I like it. But his character doesn't do anything, so... Oh, God, okay, I need to check the names of these next 2 characters. Okay, we have Cheryl Kimball and Miss Jessup. I have in my notes... They do literally nothing. So they have lines that are interesting, but, demote to extra. They're they're not important. Oh god. Okay, so notes for this next one. This right here is Amanda Marie McCoy. She let me just read my notes verbatim. I genuinely couldn't find her online, and I think that's because she actually is listed in the script as Baravian Tech, so like by my own rules, I probably shouldn't even include her. To be fair, she does have a purpose that I didn't realize until I was doing research for this video. This character's purpose is to be confused so someone else can explain things to her, and thus the audience. She has 3 lines that I found, and 2 of them serve this purpose. She's amazed by Lex's ability to predict Superman's fight moves, prompting some exposition from the glasses guy. That's Sidney Halverson right there. About the whole 1A system. Then in the finale, she says, can he hold his breath for over an hour? To which Four Eyes, again, we're talking Sidney Halverson here, says, not without air in his lungs. Now, I usually think these lines are kind of stupid because why does this person not know the answer to these questions? But this person is actually not one of Lex's goons. She is a liaison with Baravia. So it makes perfect sense for her to be here, but it also makes sense for her to not really be up to speed with Lex's, strategies and plans. That is really cool. However, I watched this movie 3 times and I didn't know this until I poured over the script of the movie. So I think it's safe to say that she failed in this purpose. So I'm demoted to extra. Next up we have Larry Chin. My notes say, why does he have a name? Which I think is my way of saying demote to extra. This should be Luthor Tech number 5. Okay, these next 2 are interesting because they are brothers. Their names are Dean and Desmond Farr, and they their actors are also brothers. Or they have the same last name coincidentally, but I think they're brothers. And that's cool. I think that's silly, and it's a fun, dynamic to throw in there. I think they're also both British, which is also fun. So I'm tempted to put them in could probably cut. But no, they should be demote extra. Lex Luthor obviously absolutely cannot cut. He's the main villain and the driving force behind the plot. Okay, Molly, the falafel vendor that is friends with Superman, and then Lex Luthor shoots him in the head. He's one of these. He's the only death in the movie, in the ridiculous fantasy land where nobody dies in the metropolis splitting in half because they all evacuated. Trust me, guys, nobody would ignore an evacuation notice. Don't think back to COVID. People always listen to government safety procedures. They would never stay behind or have to stay behind. Like what if someone broke their... But sure, yeah, Molly's the only person that died. I like Molly. I think it's important to give Superman fans, people that like him, even though they don't really know him. I can't put him in absolutely can. Oh, actually, yes, I can. I forgot the other reason that he's important is that him dying is what convinces Metamorpho to come over to Superman's side. And that is an important role of showing just how evil and ruthless and cavalier about violence Lex is. I think that is a good reason for him to be in the movie. Lex could just murder a puppy or something, but I think Molly having a name and a previous relationship with Superman is more effective. So I'm putting him up here. Next we have Reggie, who I'm pretty sure was supposed to be named Hot Dog Vendor, but Molly, when he runs out to get Superman out of the rubble, he says, Reggie, can you watch? Which means that this character now has a name, Reggie, even though I don't even think he has a line. And if he does, his line would be, yeah. So, This guy is named Cleavis Thornewait. I wrote, can't cut, evil newscaster, very necessary. Which, I think that says it all. But, yeah, actually, no, you can't cut the evil newscaster. Perry White. Okay, I'm going to say pretty important. He serves a significant role as, the boss. Like, the people of the Daily Planet have to be working for someone, but I would argue Perry White doesn't have to actually be there. Like, you could just put him behind an office and have characters be like, oh, Perry said to do this. Like, oh, Lois, you're really reaching on this one. Perry's not going to like it unless you can deliver. Like, Perry doesn't have to actually be in this movie. But I won't say that, like, you could cut him out. Or, I mean, you could. It would. I don't know. Steve Lombard. I mean, obviously he doesn't play an important role, but like with the Lex people, I'm not saying that you should just cut out all of the Daily Planet people. Unlike with the Lex Goons, I think the Daily Planet is made better by the different employees not only existing, but having distinct names and personalities. However, again, Steve Lombard does not do anything in the plot. I mean, he has a little bit of comic relief, but that anyone can have comic relief. So I'm going to put him in could probably cut because yeah, you know what? Literally nothing would change. I'm saying get him out of here. Not saying that I don't like Steve Lombard, to be clear. Once again, like I like these characters. I just think that they should have been utilized better. I would give Steve something to do at the end. Not even like, in a Lego Star Wars level, like everyone needs to contribute or we won't succeed. Like just some plot thing, some like big joke that has set up. Or we could have one of those stupid things where Steve is talking about something silly and it makes Lois remember something. She's like, Steve, you're a genius. And it's like, what did I say? One of those cringy MCU ass situation, like something like that. He should be involved and he's not. He literally does nothing. If you removed him from the movie, nothing about the movie would change, except it would be slightly less charming. We have Ma Kent. I'm going to put in could probably cut, because you absolutely could cut her, but I think it is more effective if Superman has two parents. So yeah, that's what could probably cut is. It's, you could cut them and the plot would not be different, but the story would be a little less effective. So yeah. And then, of course, Pa Kent is all the way up here and absolutely cannot cut because he delivers the message of the story, which is that parents should not be telling their kids what to do. And it's super effective. Now, you could switch out Ma and Pa Kent. Like, obviously, this movie would work if Ma was in it, but Pa wasn't, and you just gave Ma Pa's role. But at present, the role that Pa fulfills is necessary to the story, and the role that Ma fills is to be the other parent. Cat Grant. So I initially wanted to just throw her in cut and be done with it, because I feel like she was only added as eye candy. You do not need to hear me stumble over myself trying to explain why I thought that. And yeah, it was just a long, uncomfortable segment. Nobody needs to hear that. Also, ignored what I look like in this picture. That was a picture that I photoshopped up for an upcoming video. But Cat Grant does do something important, which is be a friend to Lois Lane. When Lois talks about, this guy that she's dating and how she might break up with him, Lois needs someone to talk to, and I think that's more effective as Cat. You could do it with Jimmy, I guess, so I won't put her in absolutely cannot cut, but I'm going to put her in pretty important because I think she is pretty important. She is a friend, and, it's nice for the women characters to have female friends, Jimmy Olsen, is he absolutely necessary? I don't think she... Oh, wait. You can't see the absolutely necessary thing anymore. Let me just... Although that's just kicking the can down. You know what? Oh, I'm going to sit down here. Yeah, there we go. Jimmy, I would put at... God, why can't I move the thing? God, stupid website. Okay, I'm putting Jimmy at pretty important, just like Eve. Jimmy's only really important thing that he does in the plot is give Lois someone to bounce off, which is nice, but it could have been anyone else. Like if we took Jimmy off, you could just elevate the role of Perry or Kat or Steve or whatever. His other important thing he does is reach out to Eve, but you don't really need that plot. You could just have Lois do more. I think it would be less effective of a movie if that happened, but the plot would still be the same. Like it wouldn't ruin the movie. Like I think everyone here without them, the movie would be like genuinely worse. Whereas I think you could write a version of this movie without Jimmy or Eve, and you would have to get rid of both of them. Or, I mean, you wouldn't have to, but you might as well. And as long as you made the edits good, it would be exactly the same amount of good as a movie. I think, you know what, by those standards, I'm going to take the evil newscaster down as well. Because, you know, he's good. He makes the movie better, but you don't need him. Lois Lane, you know, obviously, absolutely cannot cut. She is, like, the second main character, arguably the deuteragonist. Yeah, you can't get rid of her. I don't even think I have to justify myself. Ron Troupe. He does nothing. If you told me to name the characters in the Daily Planet subplot, I would put Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Cat Grant, Steve Lombard, Perry White, and that's it. I did not even know that this was a character. I don't think he has any lines. He's just there in the background as an extra. And you know what we do with extras? We put them here. So, you know, screw you, Troupe. Vasil Ghurkos, the president of Boravia. I'm going to put in pretty important because the Boravia subplot would work without him. Actually, you know what? No, it wouldn't, because Lex needs someone to be colluding with. Like we need scenes to show that Lex is conspiring with the Boravian government before the main characters figure it out. And so we need a character to represent the evil Boravian, you know, genocide people. So yeah, Vasil Ghurkos is necessary. Rick Flagg Sr. Oh God. Okay. Rick Flagg is the main out of these. We got another like bunch of people. Whoops. These are all the Pentagon government people that are, you know, talking to Lex. Rick Flagg Sr. is the most important one of them. He's the one that I feel like has the most dialogue and talks, like, has the most sway in the conversation. So I'm going to use him as a representative of this entire subplot and put him in pretty important. That is under the assumption that if you had this character and cut all of the others, like, you need someone to represent the government to give Lex the authority to do some of these things. But you don't need it that much. Like, you could just have Lex be operating illegally, and you could have some throwaway line about how the government is not going to stand in his way after the reports that he was sent here to kill us. You can do that very easily. So I'm not like this character. Like, you don't have to have multiple scenes of Lex going to a boardroom and pitching himself. Like, but it is better. This guy, I feel like, serves the exact same role. It is nice to have multiple people, but come on, not necessary. I don't know whether to put in demote to extra. Like, some of these people basically are extras. They're just sitting around and saying like, oh, I don't know, Superman, dangerous. Yeah, I think he's completely unnecessary. I don't even think he's necessary as an extra. I'd say get him out of here. Flo Crawley. Okay, so this is a character who was in the DCEU. I think James Gunn introduced her in the Suicide Squad, and much like Rick Flagg Sr., he was like, oh, I want my people, I want my OCs to be in more projects. This character does not really do anything, so why even bring her back? Like, imagine being this actress, you say pretty much nothing in the Suicide Squad, and you like hit Amanda Waller in the head and have like 3 lines, and then James Gunn calls you up and is like, I need you back. I need you for the Superman movie. What's her name? Tinashe Kajese Bolden. I don't know this pronouncing it right. Bolden, I need you back. I need you for this. And then you pull up and you're on set for like 2 days and you don't have any lines. Like, no, this is ridiculous. The thing is, unlike Lex's like group and the Daily Planet, I don't think that these people need to be here. I think you could make this just as effective as with Lex just talking to Rick Flagg Sr. or someone else. I don't think you need a whole boardroom of different government people, all with their own opinions. I think it's unnecessary. So I'm going to put him and get him out of here. And I'm going to put these other people in there as well. But just to do our due diligence, let's see if I have any notes on them. Okay, this first one is named Albert Tyler. And his only big thing is that he says, hey, what about that kryptonite stuff? What's it called? And someone's like, it is kryptonite. Actually, you know what? It's so silly that I'm putting this guy in demote to extra because I would keep that line. And that, mention of kryptonite. I think it's important here. Let me just put myself up here. Loretto Bell. And the notes say, bro, not even the wiki knows anything about this MF. Because I was going to the, when I really couldn't find anything, I was going to the DC Universe wiki, and not even that had anything to say about this character. So, Mr. Terrific absolutely cannot cut. The movie needs a tech guy who can solve Lex's technology problems. Mr. Terrific is also the avenue through which Lois is involved in the second act of the movie, or I don't know exactly where Act 2 is, but like Superman is in prison for a while and Lois needs to do something, and what she does is hang out with Mr. Terrific. So I think for that reason he's important, but also he's important in the finale too. He does tech stuff. Guy Gardner, on the other hand, he is pretty important. He is there to be sort of an asshole superhero to show that, like, it's not enough to save people. Superman is also like really compassionate to his enemies and really willing to stand up for the right thing, even if it's inconvenient for him. Let's put that in contrast with Guy Gardner, who is a superhero. He is helping people, but he's also kind of an asshole. So I think that role is important. It is also kind of filled by Mr. Terrific, but not as much. And also Guy Gardner has this character arc where at first he doesn't want to do what Superman's doing, and then at the end, Superman calls him in to help him with Jar-el thing, and Green Lantern comes in and helps, and I really like that moment, so I'm putting in pretty important. Guy Gardner also plays into the clash of ideologies between Superman and Lois Lane. Superman trusts everybody and gives Guy Gardner his secret identity, and Lois thinks this is stupid, and that is representative of Superman being trusting and Lois being cynical, and the fact that Guy Gardner turns out to be a cool guy and helps out in the end is a vindication of Superman's more optimistic, hopeful way of thinking. Hawkgirl, get him out of here. You could absolutely cut Hawkgirl, and the entire movie would be completely different. The fact that you could remove Hawkgirl and nothing about the movie would change is so ridiculous to me that it inspired me to make this entire video. Because you'll notice, the point that I'm mostly making is that, the movie's not that overstuffed. Like, there are a lot of characters, but they serve a purpose. Some of them should get more to do, like the engineer and Superman's mom. But like, Hawkgirl, are you kidding me? You have 3 members of the Justice Gang. One of them is the leader, and he is the main avenue through which you show like asshole superheroes. One of them is Mr. Terrific. He is incredibly important. He's an ally. He's super helpful. Then Hawkgirl is just kind of there for the ride. Like, she's basically just an extension of Guy Gardner. She disagrees with him superficially on like comic relief stuff, but she goes with him on when he goes to Jar-el, and you have the feeling that she wouldn't go if he wasn't going, and maybe that's not true, but that's the impression we get. The only cool thing she does is say that she's not like Superman and kill the president of Bravia, which is cool, but you could also just give that to someone else, either Green Lantern or Metamorpho. It would be worth like it is a cool moment, and it kind of makes sense for it to be from Hawkgirl. because of the Justice League cartoon where she's more of a badass. I mean, she looks cool. Her fight scenes are fun, but yeah, she doesn't matter to the plot at all. Next up, we have a blurry image, so it's probably someone not important. This says, Jack Tapir, just a newscaster for some exposition. So it sounds like he should be called newscaster number 3 and left there where he belongs. Heather. This is Heather, and as you can probably guess by the image, she's not very important.
Lex, I tried to stop him.
It's fine, Heather. Superman, we finally meet.
I think she's one of the characters, like Reggie, where someone says like, "Oh, Heather," and that's why she has a name. And if she didn't have a name, then she wouldn't be involved. So we're gonna put her into Mota Extra. Metamorpho. He is kind of important. It is better that Superman can escape prison by inspiring someone to help him rather than just breaking out. But it's not necessary. Like, you could have a briefcase full of kryptonite, and Superman could figure out he could, instead of being empathetic, he could just be clever instead and find some way to get rid of it. Like, you could rewrite that escape scene where Mr. Terrific comes in and rescues him. Like, there's this whole fight scene that's just kind of stupid and time wasting with the stupid CGI baby. Like, I don't really like it. And then during the finale, Metamorpho comes in and joins the Justice Gang, but you could just have the Justice Gang in those scenes. Like, if Metamorpho was missing, it wouldn't matter at all. He feels like a really important part of the movie, but I think he's not. You would have to rework the prison break scene a little bit. So I'll put in probably could cut. But yeah, he does not do anything important. Except, okay, to be fair, he does create a son for Superman to be, like, on his game again, and that's a cool moment. I like that moment, but it's not necessary. You could just bullshit that once kryptonite is out of his system, he's back to full power again. The way kryptonite works is different in every interpretation of its existence. So they could have just made a version of kryptonite that just acts like a depowering situation. And then once it's gone, his powers are back. Like, it's not sapping his powers, it's just damping them, like an X-Men collar. You could also have a version of kryptonite that poisons Superman and gives him a lot of pain, but doesn't take away his powers. Like, he can still, like, he's writhing in pain and, like, punching the ground, but when he punches the ground, a giant crack appears because, like, he still has his powers. He just can't use them properly because he's in, like, so much agony. So yeah, you don't need to write it that Superman needs someone to make him a son, like S-U-N, not like make him a son. Mr. Handsome. I want to put into Mota Extra because I do really like Mr. Handsome. I think he's a cool character design. It adds to the creepiness factor for Lex to have this, like, monstrous little golem that drives his prison cart around. I mean, he is an extra. It doesn't have any lines, so it feels really nice to put him in extra. But he doesn't do it. Like, you could replace him with a steering wheel. You could just have Lex press a button and the platform would move in the same way. I know James Gunn really likes Mr. Handsome. He has a bunch of fun behind the scenes photos that he posted, like this one. And he's got this lore. He's got Lex Luthor has a picture of Mr. Handsome on his desk because in the backstory that James Gunn wrote, Lex Luthor created Mr. Handsome when he was a kid. That's really cool, but it's not in the movie. It's like all of the cool things about Mr. Handsome are not important to the movie. That's the whole point of this video. Like, he's just like Hawkgirl. He's the very potential man. Like, he's an interesting idea, but if you want your characters to be interesting in the movie, you have to have them do interesting things. And the thing that Mr. Handsome does is pull a lever on a platform to move it. Wait, no, that's not her name. That's someone. Okay, this is Fleurette, Lex's ex that he trapped in the Pocket Universe for writing a negative blog about him, I think. Let's see, could you cut her out of the movie? I think it's effective to have Lex be trapping his own ex-girlfriends in his torture prison, but you could just have that in a line of dialogue. You could just have Lex say, like, oh yeah, I trap all kinds of people there, political dissidents, but also, like, people that piss me off and, like, ex-girlfriends. You don't have to show the ex-girlfriends. I mean, it's better to show her, but she doesn't do anything. And then the other thing she does is bang on the cell and ask for a guard when Metamorpho is helping Superman escape, which I guess sort of matter, but no, it doesn't matter. It adds to the atmosphere that the prisoners themselves are so scared of Lex that they're snitching on each other. But it's not necessary. You could cut her out of the movie, and the movie would be the same. It would be slightly worse in terms of flavor, but the story would be nothing different. You could literally cut her out. Next, we have Metamorpho's girlfriend or wife, or I'm not sure what the relationship is. The mother of his child. Her name is Sapphire Stagg, and I know there's a Stagg Industries building in the movie. I don't know if that's related. Maybe I should have looked it up. But we don't get her name, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, cut her out. You can cut her out, and it doesn't matter. Oh boy, so we have 3 left, but 2 of them are mistakes that I don't know how to delete things on this website, so I just kept them in. But these are just like badly cut versions of other photos. So our last character is Maxwell Lord, and we are putting him in Maxwell Lord tier. I hate Maxwell Lord in this movie. If you don't remember, so Maxwell Lord serves a broad purpose in the movie, which is to be the sponsor of the Justice Gang. The Justice Gang are corporate superheroes, which means they, unlike Superman, are not acting purely through the kindness of their own heart. They are, I think, given money to be superheroes. They're sponsored, and that means that they are beholden to the whims of Maxwell Lord. And that's kind of interesting, but nothing really happens with that idea. Like if Guy Gardner was independently wealthy and the Justice Gang had their own, like they were just a private club who had slightly different morals to Superman, it would be exactly the same, except it would be better because Maxwell Lord's, presence would not be confusing like it is in the movie. Because what's the point of making them beholden to a billionaire when you're not going to explore how that affects their superheroism? The Justice Gang goes to Jor-el at the end of the movie, and going and helping Jor-el is what Superman does before the beginning of the movie, and it is a controversial thing. And the Justice Gang does not go to Jor-el, and my understanding is that whether or not they want to do that, they can't, because they do not have their own free will. They are working for someone who would not let them go. So it feels like there was a missing scene where they have to reckon with the fact that they're going to a place without the permission of their superior. Or maybe they ask permission. Maybe that's a character thing. It's like Guy Gardner is like, I want to go, but maybe I should check with Maxwell Lord first. Maybe we should call him up and be like, hey, Max, we're thinking about going to stop a genocide. Are you, would you be mad? Although that would suck. That would make him way less heroic. So assuming he doesn't do that, it feels like there's missing a scene after where the Justice Gang goes back to Maxwell Lord and he's like, hey, Max, we know that we didn't ask for permission, but we did the right thing. And you can have Maxwell Lord either be like, it's all right. I saw the newscast about how Lex is evil and he was funding the whole thing. So, all is forgiven. You did the right thing. Or it could be a more, sinister route, since Maxwell Lord is a villain in the comics. He could be like, it's actually good that you went because I stand to make a whole lot of money off of this, or, something like that. Or you could have him disapproved. Be like, no, you're not sponsored by me anymore. You should take off those outfits and get actual good costumes that look like your characters from the comic. Like, there are a lot of ways you could go with it. But the fact that they don't acknowledge at all that the Justice Gang is working for a billionaire and they just did something very politically divisive, probably without asking for permission, and there's no fallout for that, is weird. It's weird. And that's not even touching upon Maxwell Lord's actual appearance in the movie. He is played by Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, who was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. I know that there is discourse on whether or not it makes sense for James Gunn to be just casting his friends in everything. Like some of his friends are talented. Nathan Fillion was really good in this movie. Sean Gunn, yeah, he didn't flub his line or anything. Like, he was fine. But the fact that he was cast makes it seem like that was the point of Maxwell Lord appearing in person, is just as a little cameo for James Gunn's brother. If you don't remember, Maxwell Lord appears during the compilation of different news clips reacting to Lois's article that are all saying like, oh man, we thought Lex Luthor was cool, but actually he sucks and he must have been lying about Superman. Like he's a real asshole, that Lex Luthor. And this and Maxwell Lord is just one of those. He distinguishes himself by saying,
seems like the one thing conservatives and liberals can finally agree on is that Lex Luthor sucks.
Which is some cornball shit. Like, it's a cringy, a dumb line. It seems like for a movie that's pretty politically savvy, like, I feel like it's I don't know, but it's not just a cornbally line. It actually exposes the fact that the whole Lex Luthor news montage is kind of stupid, because all of the news are like videos are talking about how Lex is a traitor who was working with a foreign entity and that's why he sucks. And it's like, no, he sucks because he was funding a genocide. But we already knew that. So the new information that he sucks is that he was running a torture prison, and he was doing everything that he was doing for really petty reasons about killing Superman, and that he locked his ex-girlfriend in said torture prison, and that, he wanted to rule Jar-el as a king. Like, none of those are in the news montage. It's all about him being a traitor, which I think the point is that James Gunn realized that Lex already would be a pretty divisive figure, so he is having Lex's downfall be specifically about his own fans disliking him, red-blooded American types who would be particularly shocked and appalled at the whole traitor aspect to it. It's not even a traitor because Baravia is a U.S. ally. Like, I don't know why they're calling it a traitor. Like Lex's actions are not harming America in any way. In fact, like, he's allying with a U.S. ally. He's not a traitor. Like, that's so stupid. Also, it seems like another reason he was there was to contrast Lex Luthor with like a nice billionaire. Like, yeah, Lex is incredibly rich and has a tech company that he named after himself, and puppets metahumans. But Maxwell Lord, who also does all of those things, is pretty cool. So actually the only reason that we should have disliked Lex is that he's doing evil actions, and not because he's the leader of a vainglorious corporation. And I don't agree with that. I think that is a weird direction to go. I was thinking, like, are we supposed to like Maxwell Lord? Because I don't. I think he's an asshole in the movie. And I think James Gunn thinks the same thing, because in Peacemaker, he had Maxwell Lord be like a pervy, disgusting weirdo. So I think we're supposed to dislike him, but then this is supposed to be like, I don't know. I'm so confused. I don't understand what the point was of this character. It confuses and baffles me. Maxwell Lord keeps me up at night. I don't understand. Like, oh God. I'm not talking about this anymore. So yeah, this is my list. Here, let me. As you can see, most of the characters, Absolutely Cannot Cut has more spots than anything else, and pretty important, which is the, like, technically you could cut this person out of the movie, but it would be weird and make the movie worse, is also very large. But yeah, we do have a chunk of change of characters that should either be cut out or given more to do. So I would say that the criticisms with the movie are somewhat valid. My own criticism is that too many of these characters have names. Like, look at how big the demote to extra category is. All of these characters, are making my life harder because James Gunn, or maybe not, whoever was like writing the character names, was like, ooh, but what if we take all of the LexCorp characters with 2 lines and like find some random ass character in the comics and connect the 2 of them, and like they're not even relevant. Like this, the 2 brothers, are named after comic book characters who turn into magic tigers and like have a tenuous connection to Lex Luthor. It's like what was the point of that? What was the point of that? Guys, that was unnecessary. Just don't give them names. So yeah, that's what I think. Actual good videos will be coming shortly. I finished my script for my Viserys video, and I'll be recording that maybe tonight if my throat stops hurting. Yeah, it's the next day. I did not do that shit. And my Hobbit video is really stumbling at the finish line. Like not the writing, not the record. I haven't even started the recording yet, but I wrote most of the script like a month ago, and I just don't want to finish it. There's some writer's block there for sure. But hopefully you'll get some actual scripted videos soon, and no more slop content for a while, because this is the second video in a row that's just me improving. Although this one I had a pretty robust set of notes, so it's better than the other one. But yeah, that's my ranking.